Hello and welcome to the Creator's Garden. I am called Harpy, and today we will be delving back into the world of creepypasta with my own take on the Slenderman. I have drawn Slenderman at least one stream previously, and I thought it would be interesting to try and figure out what my take on this character would be. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and move on to the main camera. There we go. As you can see, we have Transformers Prime's version of Slenderman on the left right over there. Jokes aside, I do love Soundwave's design in that show. But I also have a couple of other drawings that I've done off stream. Mostly just little sketches and whatnot. Just to try and get a feel for, the possibilities for this character. Because the thing about Slenderman is that he is sort of a blank slate character. Yes, there are a few things that stay the same between versions of him, but generally speaking, the lore between what his powers are, what he does, why he does it, if it's even a he at all, it's all up to the interpretation of the artist who decides to delve into that. And that's what I always found fascinating about this creepypasta character. And it's also just really fun to just go really stark with the visuals too. Because then you can get striking stuff kind of like this. It's been a while since I used my brush pen mostly on its own for this sort of thing. But I really do love using it, which is why I got so many refills for it. Oops. Try and get everything up in order. But yeah, mostly what spawned this was that I've actually been in the midst of watching some Slenderman related documentaries on YouTube recently that sort of put a lot of the history of the character into perspective for me. Because while I was aware of the existence of the character, I was mostly I guess you could say I was more in tune with some of what fans created rather than what some of the major players were doing. I never actually watched Marble Hornets or Everyman Hybrid, even though those are some of the biggest pieces of Slenderman media that you could possibly look at. But it's because my relationship with horror media in general is very It's when it comes to horror media, I don't usually like watching on my own because then I'm too busy trying not to get scared to really take in what's going on. But if I am watching through the lens of someone else, or like with like horror game let's plays, or even like watching some sort of like maybe reviews of the media, then I feel like, alright, like scares aside, what is this actually about? And that nugget is what's like more interesting to me. And I think that's also helping me realize, like, the things that, like, I could possibly say with my art and that sort of thing. Because when it comes to, like, horror games, it's like you're not just going to find a spooky fan art or, like, stuff where, oh, the killer monster has like a whole bunch of victims and whatnot. You're also going to find the people who like put them into like weird or cute situations, and sometimes it's a means of like coping with said fear. But other times it's just like, this is a fun doll to play with. Let's get wacky with it. Let's put them in some absurd scenarios and have fun with it. And maybe even that too is some sort of coping, but you never know. For me personally, it definitely, I think I do like the what if scenarios of like, well, what if this character wasn't quite as bad as some people made them out to be? What if they were actually good? Or what if they were just trying to live their own lives, but things got in the way and got out of hand? And I think viewing horror media in like a different lens, sometimes it's just, I don't know. But yeah, for this first piece that I'm working on for the stream, I decided to kind of like go somewhat stereotypical with like just a human kind of wandering the woods and Slenderman like finds them type of thing. But also, I thought, like, what if I put like an actual Slender Mansion in there, but not like, oh, that's where all the creepypasta characters hang out, but more like, what if it's just some old abandoned house, like all rickety and stuff, abandoned in the woods, that, you know, people have heard whispers about but don't actually go out there because, you know, there's so much stuff in the woods and so out of the way. It's like, why would you bother unless you were deliberately trying to seek it out just for, you know, thrills or whatever. So I thought a stereotypical, like, edgy human being like, yeah, I could do that, why not? house, and then that's when they hear something spooky behind them. They realize they're not alone. It's also kind of interesting to think about how the phrase, like, "you're not alone," can be taken either as a good thing or a bad thing. It's like, the good news is you're not alone. The bad news is you're not alone. And I think that's something I kind of want to like lean into with Slenderman, is that usually he's always only like seen standing there or slowly approaching, but then nothing past that. So it's like kind of like I don't know. Like Schrodinger's antagonist or something like that. Where it's like he both is and is not the bad guy, but you're not going to be able to know for sure until you actually like witness what they do. And I thought I'd give this human like just super baggy clothes. Maybe it's just super cold out, or maybe this is just something that they wear on a daily basis regardless of the weather. Some people just do that. Sort of like peeling paint or something like up here, because this is supposed to be like part of the front beams of the house. But yeah, I also just find it very fascinating, like, when I was watching the documentary about like Marble Hornets and Everyman Hybrid, and how these creators just set about to like do their own thing, because this was like early YouTube, when being a creator wasn't even like in the consciousness of that is a viable like way to have a job. Like, nobody was thinking of making money off YouTube in those days. So we were just like, you know, making stuff for fun. Some of my earliest followers of this channel probably know me from a very ancient nostalgia critic-like show. And yeah, we kind of had like a similar mindset of we're just a couple of friends just doing this for fun. And if people liked it, then people liked it, and it was awesome. But you know, we weren't out here being like, oh, we made a thing, now buy our merch. Which, you know, in this day and age, you can't really blame folks for doing that, you know? Times are tough. Moment. Excuse me. But yeah, as for the take on Slenderman that I'm doing for this piece, I really liked the idea of leaning more into the he can blend into the trees types of vibes. So it's like, even the tendrils, like, even though they still move like tendrils, they kind of look like they have this branchy, barky texture to them. So I guess they'd be more like vines, I suppose. Just like without leaves. They're just more like vines. And I also kind of gave him like coattails, kind of almost like Tim Burton-esque, just because I thought that would really look really cool for his silhouette. I'm thinking in general for how I'm going to color this, it's going to be like very minimal lighting with a lot of darkness to it, because it's going to be like middle of the night with maybe a moon somewhere like up here maybe, or maybe I should have the moon over here. That way the light can be kind of more like that way. I think I might do that. We'll put a moon over here. Big old moon. Or maybe it's not at a full moon. Maybe it's like waxing or waning a little. You know, because you know, usually you get like a full moon or a crescent moon, because those are the most aesthetically pleasing moons, I feel. So maybe some weird, like almost halfway moon or a little past halfway type of moon. Just because you don't usually see those a whole lot. And hello, Assassin Doggo. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the stream. And I hope you're doing well. So yeah, right now we're just doing sort of my own personal take on the Slenderman. Do you have any thoughts you'd like to share about like Slenderman or creepypasta? Or if you're just here to lurk, that's also cool too. You've popped up in my feed, so why not join? That is completely fair. I actually did that to another person who was streaming on YouTube. Like, that's how I found them. Just randomly, they were in my YouTube recommendeds, and they were doing like comic art, and I was like, oh, I also draw my own comics, so why not? For some reason, you refused to leave my For You page, so I decided to join. Well, I hope you like it here. And, yeah, like I said, you feel free to lurk and whatnot. And we also have, like, some little chat commands down there, so if you type stuff in the chat, then things should be happening. We also have, like, a little fishing minigame in the corner. So you can just fish up random stuff. So yeah, there's plenty of fun little toys to play with. But yeah, having me in the background is also cool too. So just so you don't feel too pressured or anything. But I'm always happy to see new faces around here. Well, so far so good. At least I got the like general shape of what I want to go for, but there's still something missing. I don't want it like too empty over here. I feel like I need to fill this with something. Maybe a fallen log. You know, maybe in your world there's a fallen log right here. My creepypasta knowledge is 0. In fact, my knowledge in most of new modern stuff is just 0. Well, how modern are we talking? Because creepypasta's been around for at least a couple decades at this point. But, anyways, Borb form. So, since you're new here, my name is Harpy, and this is the Creator's Garden. I'm a creator, and I'm also kind of a shapeshifter. Case in point, this is my Borb form. The Creator's Garden is very much filled with Borbs, all of them created by moi. And I am self-proclaimed the Borb Princess, or the Princess Borb. So this is my Borb form. Very cute, right? I'm feeling like going super sketchy, kind of looking for this is the right type of mood. It also kind of fits my current comic work that I've been doing recently. So, for those who don't know, I'm the creator of a webcomic series called the Snapdragon Club. And it's divided into tales. And the current tale that I'm working on is called The Actress's Tale, which has some small survival horror type elements. Like, it's not too scary or anything, but it's got elements of it. So there have been like panels where I do have a more like sketchy style, because usually what happens when you're drawing stuff like that is like the more like uncanny details you add, the more creepy it kind of looks on the page. At least that's how I was trying to go for anyways. Your Majesty, I shall kneel down. No need for that, no need for that. I am only self-proclaimed, and honestly, aside from the Borbs, I am basically the only inhabitant of the Creator's Garden. Although recently we did add some Borb fish. So basically, if you imagine the Borbs, but instead of like wings, they have fins, fish fins, then that's a Borb fish. But yes, in truth, it has been a while since I've dabbled in much of anything creepypasta related. Like, I know some of the bigger names like Ben Drown, Jeff the Killer, Eyeless Jack, Laughing Jack, Smile Dog, but Slenderman was just always my favorite, just because, like, of the blank canvas status that he has, because that's basically what he is. He is like a horror blank canvas that you can put any sort of lore you want onto him, essentially. Still feeling a little bare, though, so I'll have to think on that a little bit. So much Borb lore. All hail the Borb Princess. Well, I try to keep the lore simple, but that is something I'm still learning how to do. But I appreciate it. And I appreciate you being here as well. I'm kind of still unsure of what to do about here, so what I'm doing right now is kind of just filling out the space with more random plants. This one in particular is one that I created for the world of Sanctus, which is where my Snapdragon Club comics take place. Like, I called them dandy fades because they're kind of like dandelions that have leaves they, you pluck and, you do the whole loves me not type thing, but with just like it's basically in like an 8-ball situation where you ask a question and it's like, yes, it'll happen, no, it won't happen, yes, it'll happen, no, it won't happen type of thing. And that's like the lore behind that. I think it was probably a good call to add these. It just kind of adds more to the liveliness of the forest, I think. For 218 subs, this is quite the stream setup. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've tried my best to like have it as interactive as possible so that, because I don't know, personally for me, I like when there are like little interactables that you can do on the stream so that it feels like you're part of it too if you want to be. But also, streams are streams. Lots of people just listen to it in the background while they're doing other things. So, yeah. And usually, when it comes to art streams and drawing streams, it's all about just watching something get done, and it's kind of satisfying. I know, actually, just earlier today, I was at a friend's Twitch stream where he was working on some original characters. And he's actually the reason why I decided to add my own little fishing minigame, because he also has one for Twitch. Because it's like, if I don't have anything to say, then I can just do a little fish to say I'm here. I am here and being supportive. Maybe I'll do some of these that are like missing the cotton ball ends of them or something. Like they've been plucked. Oh goodness. What if the amount of dandy fates marks the amount of victims? Now that's a morbid thought right there. Oh. I just missed what you fished. But I hope it was something good. Gonna go feed myself, you shall be back. Alright. Hope you hope you get something good to eat. I wanted to add more like of the house in the foreground, but I think because of the camera angle I have unfortunately chosen, it's not gonna happen unless there we go. Maybe something almost path-like, but like a very thin path, maybe? Like, not necessarily a welcoming path, but one that feels like it has been traveled enough where the grass would be thin-ish here, but not enough where it's like you'd have actual, like, paved cobblestones or anything. Is this done? Maybe a couple more, like, tiny ones here and there. Maybe they're just, like, starting to sprout. And I'm not too worried about like the bits of mess of colors that I did on the edges from my past work over here, just because this is going to be a fairly dark piece, so I feel like at least most of this is going to be not visible by the end of me coloring it. Which I think it is going to be mostly like grays and blues. Maybe, yeah, grays, blues, very light grays for like the bits of white to simulate the moon's lighting. I might be done with that. And I think I will actually erase some bits. In some of the past artworks, I've gotten a little lazy with erasing the sketch work. Just because I didn't feel it was necessary. In fact, in the past, I've just gone from sketch to color. Just because I didn't feel like doing line art. But I feel like for this one, this was more of a... this could use that sort of sketchy line art type of feel. And of course, I will knock over all my markers. Welcome. Glad you can make it. I hope you've been doing well, and thank you for the head pats. I'll just go to pajama form really quick so the head pats can actually reach. I just dropped my markers, so I'm not sure where it went. Usually I can tell where it went, but not this time apparently. Alright, plan B. I will just go grab different markers. See, we just finished inking up this piece. A possible take on the Slenderman mythos. Been doing well, disappeared since you're learning guitar. Enjoying birthday gifts. Aw. I'm not sure when your birthday was, but happy birthday, regardless. But learning guitar is really cool. I can't say I have any sort of gift with music, though I enjoy it plenty. I'm sure at some point I'm going to find that marker. It's just going to bug me. But I think the first thing that I'll do is try to mark out where all the lighting is going to be. So basically, what I'm trying to do is mark out the spaces where I want to keep it white so that I don't cover it up. I do have a piece of watercolor paper in the back, so that should keep from bleeding to the other pages. Maybe white's a little too harsh here. That should be fine though. Oh, it was on the 14th. Ah. But yeah, I'm glad you've been doing well. And also, did the operator thing show up? I wasn't paying attention. I was hoping it did. Because I thought for a Slenderman stream that it would be really cool if I could get that that working. Let me just try that again. Just to see. I mean, it should be working, right? Maybe it isn't. That's a shame. Maybe I'll mess around with it later, but for now, we have art to do. This one might be a little bit dried out. I might need to actually refill this one. One of these. That's neutral gray. More gray is a red gray, so we definitely want the cool gray. There it is. Markers are thirsty, so we shall tend to that. And speaking of thirst, if it is hot where you are, I hope you guys are also staying hydrated. There's far too many air bubbles. Well, luckily it's this gray, so that's not going to leave too much of a mark. Sometimes the problem is just that there's so much air bubbles when refilling, so even when it's not full, it's just not absorbing as quick as I would like. Okay. I think definitely done now. Even if you can't really see this gray, I feel like this helps like desaturate and make things blend a little bit. It's kind of like, you know, what the colorless blender is used for, but it also like actually affects the color a bit more, I feel. But that's just in my experience so far. Really weird, actually. The micron usually is pretty quick to dry, so it doesn't smudge like that. So the fact that it did is very interesting. Kind of made it darker for a little. Welcome, welcome. Glad you can make it. Hope you're good. Thank you. I've been doing well. Just working on some Slenderman Fanart today. And, I might have messed up in a couple places, but I'm sure by the end of it you probably won't even tell the difference. Although, I keep going out of frame a little bit. Actually, probably instead of that I should be doing this. There we go. Slightly better. But yeah, I hope you're doing good as well. Or at the very least, you know, surviving. Because sometimes that's all we can do. Still bugging me that I don't know where that marker went, but that is going to have to be an after stream problem for me. Same with the one of the chat commands apparently not working, but well, the chat command I might be able to fix if we go on break, but we'll see how that goes. That's not the one I wanted. This one. Luckily, red gray is like just desaturated enough that it's still a gray, but has like a little bit of warmth that I want, just to show that yes, there's a skin tone in there. At least that's the hope that I am like conveying properly. Better, so it's not too stark. Having computer issues yourself? Aw, man. Love Slenderman so much, there was just a phase I watched nothing but media on him. Yeah, those are the times, right? Thinking of itself a data clog when I was sleeping, so I'm trying to figure out where the phantom data clogging is. Oh no. Well, I hope you can get your computer issues fixed soon. That's rough. You have returned. Welcome, Black Assassin Doggo. As you can see, we have just started coloring the piece that you saw earlier. I'm trying my best to keep it as desaturated as possible so it's not like too obvious, but we'll see how it goes. Though I might be breaking my rule a little bit by using this marker because I really want to get rid of this marker. I don't use this color a whole lot, so I'm just kind of trying to like sneak it in where I can. But I also feel like adding like just tiny bits of color in a couple of places might possibly help like some of the objects in the piece stand out just a little bit better, just so it doesn't look like a giant blob of gray, you know? At least that's the idea. I don't know how effective it'll be at the end, but that's what we're trying to do at least. Don't know if I want to do a straight up black for the trees just yet. Might be a couple of places where I can get away with it though. My perfectionism doesn't allow me to leave a stream unfinished. Aww. That's sweet of you, but also don't feel, don't feel pressured to like stay for the entire stream if you have other things to do, alright? The streams are always going to be here, and you'll always have the VOD to watch later as well. That is the beauty of these streams. You can always rewatch them whenever you feel like. But when you are here, there is stuff for you to like play with and whatnot. And I also get to chat with you, so there's that too. Kevin, welcome, welcome. Hope everyone's doing well. Well, we're doing pretty good so far. So far we've done the inking and we're like halfway done-ish with the coloring on this. We're doing a lot of experimental coloring with alcohol markers on this piece. Mostly trying to keep it like desaturated, but we'll see how things go. But yeah, let me know like how you guys feel about like creepypasta or Slenderman or any type of spooky media. Because I mentioned earlier in the stream that usually how I like look into spooky stuff is I have to have a little bit of a filter on it, you know, because I'm a bit of a scaredy cat. But there are always like concepts in horror media that I find very fascinating. So it's usually those concepts that I latch onto rather than, you know, what's gruesome about it. Because yes, the gruesomeness is part of it, but at the same time, there's like a part of it that's like, well, what is so scary about it? Like, why is it scary? And is there a way to like maybe make it less scary, or like not in the like diluted sort of sense, but like, is there a way to conquer our fears in those sorts of scenarios? Or is it like just one of those hopeless types of things? And personally for me, I just like having things that have more hope in them. Okay, yeah, I think this is what I need. I need to put more of this in here. And that'll hopefully make it blend a little better. I've only seen old horror, like 50s horror. I'm having trouble thinking, like, what sort of 50s horror am I thinking of? Like, are we thinking, like, black and white, like, Universal movies? Like, Mummy, Frankenstein, Dracula type stuff? There's a gray that I haven't used yet, maybe. No, I've used all these, so that means I need to go looking around for my other grays. some of the grays that I have also have like a tinge of color to them, so I'm hoping it doesn't ruin what I'm trying to go for. Yeah? I mean, those are really cool too. Sometimes you just can't beat the classics. Like, Bela Lugosi is a really cool actor. And the old Phantom of the Opera, you think that would count? So hey Kamada-kun, welcome, welcome, glad you can make it. Hope you're doing well. Seen The Mist, Friday the 13th, Silence of the Lambs, but just prefer older stuff. That's totally fine, you know. Everyone's got their preferences. But though now I'm curious, what is it about like the black and white horror films that like appeal to you? Because it might be why, like, maybe it even has like ties in with why some people like analog horror and stuff. Or maybe it's just like this piece that I did earlier, actually, off stream, where it's like the contrasts kind of make it that more like provoking in a way. Not that horror, but I especially love the original Godzilla. Love the cheap and cheesy style of them. That is completely fair, and sometimes you can even like appreciate like what they had to work with for the effects and everything. You know, all the miniature cities and whatnot. And also, you'd be in good company. I believe Kamada-kun is also a Godzilla fan, so there's that. Slenderman, is this just Slenderman or is it specific? So basically what I was going for this particular piece is like my take on Slenderman, because the thing about Slenderman in general is that he is very much a blank slate entity, in that even though like the general look of him will stay the same, everyone's got their own take of what his lore and mythos is. And that's kind of the beauty of him. He's essentially like just a horror blank canvas for anyone to work on. So that's why you got like different takes on him that call him under different names, like the Operator from Marble Hornets. So, in this particular one, the only things that I've kind of solidified for this piece is that there is a Slender Mansion, but instead of it being just like a place for like all the notable creepypasta characters to hang out, it's more of like a rumored, abandoned house in the middle of the woods that nobody goes to anymore, except for, you know, the kids and teenagers that just want to do something spooky for the thrill of it. And I'm also including, you know, the pages in a sense. And also, I liked the idea of making him more like tree-like, because I liked the idea of him like sort of disguising himself amongst the tall trees. So even like the tendrils coming out of his back are more like vines with like barky branch textures instead of just, you know, slick tentacles or something. Kamada-kun is Godzilla's first stage in Shin Godzilla. Oh! A second stage. But yes, the pages. Yeah, I feel like I like Slender the 8 pages. I was definitely there when the hype of Let's Players just all clamored to play that, to scream at it, and it's just. I even like played the original Slender the 8 pages like a long time ago, just to see if I could play it. And I could not because I'm that big of a scaredy cat. But it's like, I felt like there was still potential with it, so. What I was thinking about for this particular lore is that either Slendy writes them himself or has like proxies write them for him, just to like, because maybe it's like Shrek in his swamp type vibes, you know, where it's just like he just wants people to like leave him alone, but people think he's a monster, so it's like, oh, I want to go and videotape the Slenderman. I wanna get internet famous. Yeah, I was a little bit worried this would be a little too much color than what I wanted. But I think I can still work with it. It still bugs me that that's not working. Oh, they all have names. And Slenderman has so much interpretations. Exactly. And you can get as silly or as serious as you want with his lore, as you want. I have seen both sides of them, and they're both equally as fun, I feel. You should stop yourself before you go off about Godzilla. I mean, I don't mind. I mean, Godzilla is technically also part of analog horror space now because of that one series. I forget what it's called, but it was the one about like how the actor was stuck in the Godzilla suit. And he just kind of became Godzilla. Oh, thank you, Feather King. And yes, Feather King is actually right here with me. See, there's a Twitch side, a preferred Twitch, there's less delay. Well, I don't really stream on Twitch, personally. I've thought about it, but unfortunately my setup doesn't seem to, like, it can't really handle a whole lot of streaming, so I can't even, like, dual stream. At least I don't feel like my setup can currently handle that. So I'm just sticking with YouTube just because it's where I frequent. It's where I'm usually at. Like, between this and Tumblr, like, those are basically my only social medias. And I'm usually just on Twitch as an observer. The other chat, so that's Stream Elements. That's actually a tool, and that's what I use to implement all the stuff, all the fancy stuff that you see for the stream. So the background, the fish mini game, the chat commands, those are all part of Stream Elements. And so there is a timer that goes off so that every now and again something little neat happens. Just because sometimes, you know, we don't always have, like, eager chatters. Sometimes it's just really quiet or not many people can make streams. So it helps to break up the monotony, at least for me. been going back and forth as to what I want to do with the sky color. Yes, I believe Kamada-kun would know more about Godzilla. I personally have not seen many. I only know like bits and pieces about the lore and the themes. Such as Godzilla coming from like the fears of the atomic bomb, I believe. Which I believe is what the analog horror also covers as well. Okay, yeah. Definitely want to use this blue. Trying not to feel too bad about losing some of these finer details, because in the end, Slendy is just doing what Slendy is best at, which is blending in with his surroundings. Still going back and forth between whether or not I want to go back and add like little stars or even little bits of clouds in the sky with a white gel pen, but we'll see how it goes. Guys, time you'll be watching the films with me. Oh no. But also during these streams, I am Harpy. But still, oh no. You're going to drag me from the Creator's Garden to watch Godzilla. Oh dear. Well, that's a little unfortunate, but maybe I can work with that. Daigo Fukuria Maru incident? I'm not sure I'm familiar with that. So if it's appropriate, feel free to elaborate, but otherwise, yeah. You're already in the Creator's Garden. I already have the Criterion box sets of Godzilla. You just teleported here like dun dun dun. Open up, it is time. Oh goodness. I'm in my own creepypasta. The call is coming from inside the garden. That is the true creepypasta right there. You're in the middle of stream and suddenly, dun dun dun, we must watch Godzilla. But yeah, I think this might do it for this piece. And I think what I'm gonna do is we can go on break and then we'll do like one more illustration more focused on my version of Slenderman himself, just because I do like drawing his little lanky design. It's just really fun. But yeah, so for those who are new, if a stream ends up going like a little bit longer, sometimes we will end up taking a bit of a break in between. And during that time, the fishing mini game will still be up. So you can go ahead and mess around with that if you would like. Otherwise, you know, feel free to just get up, move around, get some stretches, get some drinks, get some snacks. Speaking of hydrates, thank you for that. Hello, Okana. Welcome, welcome. Nice art. Now draw all the Showa kaijus. Oh no. Although, to be fair, there are a lot of cool kaiju designs. But I'm not sure if I'm good enough at that. I see. Enormous piranha. Good job. But yes, we just finished our first little Slenderman piece of the stream. And we were just about to go on break, so you'll get to see the BRB screen. And you'll also get to play the fishing minigame if you haven't already. I do recommend it. It's a little fun little thing. And there is like a little leaderboard, and it is like a collaborative effort to like earn gold, and so you can use more items and catch like rarer fish. I don't know, I think it's a lot of fun. And you love it, thank you. But yes, we are going on break, and I will see you guys in a bit. Alrighty, and we are back. So during the break I took some time to think about what the second illustration of the stream would be. And I'm thinking for this one, we might draw like a more aggro Slendy. Like approaching the camera as if they are an active threat. Maybe like someone's been shooting at him and he's just like, nah, I'm not taking that disrespect. And I'm thinking, at least for my version of Slenderman, it's not that like gunshots could like actually kill him. It's more just annoying but still painful. Kind of like how, like, if you got bit by a bug or stung, like, and it's not from like a super poisonous or venomous thing, but, and you're not allergic to it, like, it's not going to severely harm you, but it'll still hurt. It could still hurt, so. Or it's just very, very annoying and itchy, and so, you know, either way, you're not going to be having a good time. And the closest I've ever come to that sort of sensation is when I found little bits of the void around the garden. There's a whole lore to that if you're new to this channel and to this stream. There is a whole bunch of lore behind the creator's garden and why I'm the only one here aside from the borbs and borbfish. But I guess to keep it simple, the void is essentially my kryptonite. Because as a creator, I can usually like make a whole bunch of things, but not everything turns out perfect. Let's see. I was trying to find this pencil because I'm trying so desperately to get rid of this pencil. It is so tiny. But technically still usable. So I will use it to the very end. But yeah. I'm thinking for an aggro Slendy. And he can also like, kind of stretch his neck a bit. Just elongating like his limbs and stuff. Like, if you thought he was like imposing already just standing there, like he's going to make himself look taller and thinner. I am tempted to add like a very interesting like mouth, but I'm still uncertain if I want that. So let's see here. I'm just trying to get out like where I kind of want things to essentially end end up, but I'm thinking like his tendrils can kind of end up in the foreground a bit like that. And then it's like coattails kind of flaring out. Maybe less swirly and more like almost like a maw or something like that. And then he's so tall he won't even fit in the page. Okay. Let's see. So thinking and I do really like keeping his suit. Like it feels iconic at that point, you know? Like I've seen like plenty of different diverging like outfits and character designs for variations of Slenderman. Like what if it was like less of a suit that fit him? What if he was like a person that turned into a Slenderman? What if it was like a species? And I thought those were all like really cool ideas. But I think for mine, I'm definitely leaning more towards the sort of tree-like entity. Possibly like eldritch, Lovecraftian in nature. Or maybe even closer to like a fae. Like when you get into like fae and demon stuff, then it's kind of more like they have more solid rules about them. Where it's like so long as you don't do X, Y, and Z, then usually you won't aggro them, but you know. But once you do, then it's like, it's all over for you. maybe very basic skull shape. And then just sort of a ghosted on mouth. I'm still not sure about the mouth. I'm not sure if I'm sold on that. Maybe just having his head staying a blank slate is just good enough. Just an elongated face. Maybe that's it. Maybe the face just gets more elongated. A lot of the sketching stages is always just refining and tweaking what I want to do. But because I like drawing Slenderman just really super flowy, so I can just do all these swooping lines, and I think that's always fun. Back from rewatching an episode of Ultraman, just like you should watch Godzilla. Alright, I hear you. Goodness. Everyone's bullying me into watching Godzilla. Why? I'm just a bored princess on the internets. I kid, of course. You're all amazing. And I'm glad you guys are having fun here. Truly. And I think for this one, I actually will not clean it up. I think I will just go ahead and go straight into the coloring process, much like I did with the similar illustrations that I've done in the past on this channel. Because sometimes I just don't feel like inking. Inking is not usually like a satisfying part of the process for me, unless I have a really good idea of how I want to ink it. Actually, I'm thinking for this one, where did There's a couple of like really good like desaturated like colors that I have. I think it's the desaturated reds and blues that are my favorite. Because I keep running out of that ink. I mean, luckily I still have refills for it, but still. I think I just found it. Yes. This is the one I want. And I think that will help to add the sense of anger in the background. At this point, doing it lineless like this kind of feels like painting in a way. Ultraman is also an option if you prefer more cheesy, goofy monster battles. I did see that there was like... Wasn't there like a reboot Ultraman movie? I heard a lot of people loved that movie. Not a big fan of saturated colors. A few times where I like a drawing enough to color it, I just use dark and plain colors. That is absolutely fair. Like, it really depends on the piece, but I feel like I generally lean towards like brighter pastels or yeah, even just desaturated grays, kind of like this one. But I also just have a lot of bright colors that I'm trying to get rid of, so there's that. The only, I think, the exception to this rule is like some of my brighter yellows and stuff like that. It's because those are usually like really good for lighting purposes. Netflix made an Ultraman movie, but it's not the same. That has budget. I like cheap, cheesy version. That is absolutely fair. And sometimes it's just more impressive to see what you can do with less, I guess. Trying to go for that sort of tree branch-ish idea. Oh. To a very good start. But the more I have to refine everything, the more careful and slower I have to be. was gonna color it all the way down, but I kind of like how it's kind of gradienting in some places. Ultraman SP gets the inspiration to a lot of things, same as Godzilla. They inspired Evangelion, Pacific Rim, Power Rangers, Jurassic Park, Ben 10, Pokemon, the list goes on. And yeah, I believe that. I mean, there's plenty of, like, influential stuff out there that, you know, inspired a lot of the modern media. It's like how, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream inspired Amazing Digital Circus. But yeah, there's absolutely a lot of great media out there. Like, especially when it concerns classics. It might not always be my thing, but they are always respectable, I think. At least when you, like, think about it in terms of, like, their influence on modern media. myself can't help but love the weird stuff, and being a nerd, I of course also like the nerd franchise Star Wars. Yeah. Star Wars and Star Trek, I believe, are some of the bigger pieces of nerd culture that were also very influential. I can't say that I know too much about it myself, outside of a few choice names that are just kind of part of the cultural zeitgeist, I suppose. But again, respectable. Small idea of how I wanted to pattern and texture the tendrils. That I could possibly do it similar to how I did the tree bark in one of my earlier examples. I can actually get a good pattern down. Sometimes I just don't know what I'm doing. But it's all right. I go back and forth sometimes about whether or not I want to actually darken the hands or not. Because I could. But would it actually look better? I think what I might do is that once I finish the tendrils, I'll go ahead and work on the background and see how it looks with the colors. And if I think it'll be more imposing and intimidating with them being darker, then I will go back and do that. draw, I reserve myself for monsters. I can't draw humanoids even if my life depended on it. Same with coloring. I think the fade looks good. Maybe just the fingertips could be darker and fade from there. Ooh. That could be an interesting look. I will keep that in mind when once I'm done with the background. But yes, I feel like I'm the opposite, perhaps. Where it's like, I can do humanoids fairly well, or at the very least, I'm more confident with humanoids. And once we start getting into, like, quadrupedal creatures, then it's more of a I need more practice, rather than I can't do it. Because once I actually get into a flow, sometimes I can get actually decent results. And also sometimes I'm just learning which colors blend well together. Because sometimes I think based on the caps that there's a possibility that they could blend well. And I actually put them down on paper and I realized, oh no, it's too stark of a difference. They're actually not blending as well as I thought they would. Definitely need to go over those. I've actually not drawn many illustrations where Slenderman is the centerpiece of something. So it is a very interesting challenge. We are almost at the tail end of the stream. Oops. I just need to go ahead and fix this really quick. I'm a perfectionist when I draw. I just started trying it out like a month and a half ago, and I'm very messy when I draw. Not so happy with them. Yeah, so I I used to be that way, I feel like, but these days I've I basically do these sort of like fast drawings as a means to try and let myself like be a bit more forgiving. Like especially when I'm doing like huge full-blown comic projects like the Snapdragon Club comic that I've been working on. I had to basically adopt a mindset that would allow for more wiggle room when it comes to like just making sure that the project gets done. Because when you read a comic, realistically speaking, you're not usually like taking in every single like bit of detail in a panel unless it's like a splash page or like a very, significant panel. Otherwise, you're just like moving along for the story. And that's what I try to keep in mind. So it's like if it's not all that grand, don't worry if it's not perfect. Don't worry if it's not like all the colors are the same, or just as long as it's not messing up the flow of the story, then you're pretty much good. And even when it comes to illustrations like these, I take these more as just like it's just practice, Like this isn't art that's about to like go on merch or anything. Which, yes, in case you're curious, I do have merch, but we will get to that at the end of the stream. Wondering if maybe if I grab, say, this one, maybe this would be a good way to. No, that's not a good way to put it. How about this one? Trying to figure out what's a good color to sort of bridge the gap a little bit. It's a little too bright. Not sure if that's going to be any good. I wouldn't think this one, but. It's okay. It's whatever. Oh my goodness. I don't know why that keeps going off like that, but thank you for the hydrate. Ended up covered in half a jar of pickle juice. Oh no. like some of my drawings, but most of I just don't. My proportions are way off. Yeah, I definitely get that. Proportions and perspective and all those like more technical aspects of art can be a little bit more difficult. I know, especially for me, like I struggle with anything that has to do with like having straight lines, like interiors or like buildings all on a street. Like those are kind of like my, I wouldn't say like the bane of my existence, but they're the points where I struggle the most. And so usually in my art you will see me finding ways around that. For instance, in the Snapdragon Club series, there is a major city called St. Flora, in which basically all the buildings are made out of giant gourds. And because they are made out of giant gourds, so think, you know, pumpkins, squash type things with like really hard shells. So basically it allows for more naturalistic lines, so it allows me to get away with just making more curved and interesting looking structures, and also not have to think about putting a whole bunch of boxes in a row, you know? It's like, oh, I put the camera here, which means the perspective needs to be at this angle and that. I mean, I still have to some degree in some circumstances, but at the same time, it allows for just a teensy bit more wiggle room. Just a teensy bit. But yeah, I think I will go back and add just a little bit more darkened areas. But other than that, I think we're just about done. And with that will come the end of the stream. So, with that being said, I'd like to thank everyone who joined me, whether you were in chat or watching the VOD later on. I appreciate you very much. And if you enjoy my art and are interested in my stories, I hope that you will consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you have already, thank you very much. And also, if you're interested in more of like a fantasy type setting, where there are monsters and anthrofolk and fae and dragons, then I hope you'll give the Snapdragon Club a try. You can either... oh, goodness. Well, there goes the operator symbol. You can either read the comic on Tumblr, the links are on the channel page, or, if you'd like, there is a playlist for the Snapdragon Club series thus far, which includes a slideshow version of the grand opening, then the comic dub versions of the Wanderer's Tale and the Hunter's Tale. Currently, I am working on the pages for The Actress's Tale. It's the latest installment of the Snapdragon Club series. And actually, next stream, which will be on Friday, I will be working on said pages from The Actress's Tale. Your Highness, I better watch Godzilla. I shall return in the future. We'll see. We'll see if I can make time. But I appreciate the endorsement for Godzilla. Either way, feel free to, chat about Godzilla in the chat whenever you're here. I do not mind spoilers. But yes. And if you're feeling super duper generous, we do have the Ko-fi link right up in the corner where you can buy me a boba, you can become a visitor of Sanctus and get a borb attributed to your name. And those borbs show up at the beginning of every stream. Also, as I mentioned before, we do have merch. So, we have stickers in the Ko-fi shop, which include my Princess Borb form, as well as my Harpy form in a couple variations of outfits. There's also stickers of many of my major Snapdragon Club characters, including the protagonist of the Actress's Tale, Mackenzie. That's the protagonist of the Hunter's Tale, Crystal. But yeah. Here's some of the other Harpy ones right here. But yeah, these are all available in the Ko-fi shop. And with that being said, thank you all for joining me. And hope to see you guys soon. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Bye. You'll buy Godzilla DVDs. But yeah, thank you for coming. Bye.